Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, listen, last night was a absolute wonderful show last night. We had a lot of disagreements, a lot of arguments. We never hold those things personally against each other. Everybody has their own different beliefs and what they believe in. So I wanted to give a recap because I had this morning and to think about it as I prepare for my work day. Um, I wanted to talk about a little of what we talked about last night. And we talked about, should DNA tests be mandatory? We talked about the bonnet epidemic with the ladies wearing the bonnets, and then we talked about bullying, and then we ended the show talking about why Kevin Samuels is so hated, and why do women hate Kevin Samuels? And so last night it was all of us had a discussion about that. More were against him than for him, and so we had one person that was in between. Okay, he said some things and then some things he shouldn't say, and then we had me saying, hey, sometimes being harsh is the reality of fixing someone or straightening someone out. But then I had last night to think, and I had last night to ponder about what it is that I feel about the situation. And I'm gonna say this real quick. This is gonna be a short video. I have to prepare my day. But when we were growing up in my mama's house, I knew that my mama loved me, right? I knew that my daddy loved me. And back in the day, men didn't express love like they should have. But I knew he loved me. I was his son. I was my mama's son. And some days I would do what I wanted to do. I would go outside and mama say don't do this, and mama say don't do this, and mama say don't present yourself like this, and mama say, Dwayne, in a very nice way, Dwayne, you can't live your life like this, you can't be out there like this, you can't be out there in them streets, you can't do this, you can't do that. And she tried to push me in a direction that was going to be good for me. But then what ended up happening is Dwayne did what he wanted to do. Dwayne was a rebel. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. He wanted to say what he wanted to say. And nobody could tell Dwayne anything. He just wanted to do what he wanted to do. Right? And so in that regard, my mama said, you know what, sometimes, because a lot of us kids, my mama had a lot of kids, but my mama said sometimes, not all the kids were as rebellish, if that's a word, as me. A lot of the kids listened. They were hard-headed too at times, but they listened. But I was the one out of all the children that was out of line most of the time. And so my mama, out of love for me, my mama would discipline me harshly. I would get whoopings. I would get belts. You know how black parents was back in the day. Belts, extension cords, and pots, pans, fly swatters, whatever they could put their hands on to knock the hell out of you, they would, because you were out of line. And so it made me think about last night. I said about Kevin Samuels that a clock is wrong twice a day. Everybody may not agree with everything that he says, because sometimes things can be said that convicts us. Something can be said. I have been in situations, I've gone to church and been in different circles, that somebody said something that convicted me, that made me think about my life and where it's going. And sometimes somebody has said something to me as harsh, and it made me remember where I needed to be and to get me back in line. Do we all agree on how Kevin handles things? No. A lot of people don't agree on everything that Kevin does. But when I was out of line, my mama would beat me. My mama would whoop me to get me back in line. Sometimes she told me in a nice way without being I'm gonna say abusive, because she had to do. But sometimes I got out of line, she would say something nice like, go in your room. Do you remember those warnings? The Bible says there's warning before destruction. Do you remember those warnings when mama used to say, go in and sit down, go in and have a seat, Stop raising your voice in my house. Stop being disrespectful. Get yourself together. You're not, to the girls, to my sisters, you're not wearing that out in the public. To the boys, pull your pants up. Get that do-rag off your head. You're not wearing it to the church. And they will be nice about it. And then that would not work, because sometimes we don't listen to people that try to help us and be nice to us. So sometimes you got to have that person that snatches you back in line and do in any means, by using any means necessary. And that's how I sum up the Kevin Samuel situation. Some of the women that call the show call for clickbait. They want to be famous. They want to be on the show. But some women that call need to be snatched back in line. Some of the women that call say, I want to leave my husband, go back to my ex because my ex has a brand new job. Some of those women need to be snatched back in line. And everybody say, but it's the way that he does it. He's mean. Yes, it was the way my mama did it. She whooped me. She got the belt, the extension cord, the frying skillet, the fly swatter, the spatula, anything she get a hand on, and she would put me back in line when I got out of line. Do we have platforms out there that put men back in line, or that hold men accountable? Absolutely. But we're focused too much on the ones, because we've had platforms that's trying to get men in line, and I could send links and everything if you need to look that up. But we've had plenty of platforms that said men need to get their stuff together. And then if we're being honest, for 3 years before Kevin got famous on YouTube, Kevin, for 3 years straight, were talking to men. We're telling men that they were trash. We're telling men that they need to get their lives together. For 3 years, a lot of people judge him based off 30-second clips. But if you follow this man, you will go back and see for 3 years straight, this man had a show about men, where he told them they were trash. They were making minimum wage. You need to get better. You need to get yourself in a better situation. Go back to school. Find your job. You can't survive making minimum wage, $8 or whatever it is an hour. Like, he had shows like this. He had a show 6 months ago that had a show he had a night for men. Go YouTube it. He had a night for men, and men called in, and he got on their asses and snatched them back in line and told them that if they want to be with a woman that's worth being with, he told them what they had to do. And he got on the men just like he got on the women. But he spends a majority of his time on the women, and I think that's where the separation comes. The separation comes when he spends the 90% of his time on the women and 10% of his time on the men. But again, sometimes, guys, I don't disagree with anybody. Everybody has their own mind. And on Black Men Unfiltered, nobody is censored. Everybody has their own mind. Everybody believes what they believe, and I support them in their beliefs. One of the things I learned last night is that I have to be open to new opportunities to learn from other people. And that's what I choose to do moving forward. However, thank you, Mama, because sometimes you have to be snatched back in line. This is Dwayne from Black Men Unfiltered every Tuesday night on YouTube, on the YouTube channel Black Men Unfiltered. Please subscribe and like this channel, and we'll see you Tuesday at 8:30. Peace.